They called it a disorder. They said your mind was broken, scattered, impulsive, a glitch in the system. But what they never understood was that you were never meant to move at their pace. They saw distraction. I see velocity. They saw chaos. I see creation, because you are not the slow, predictable hum of a machine. You are the roar of a hurricane, untamed, electric, alive. From the moment you opened your eyes to this world, you were already running, not away from it, but ahead of it. Your thoughts move faster than sound, your emotions hit harder than truth, and your curiosity, it never learned to sleep. But the world hates what it cannot categorize. It needs labels, boundaries, boxes, and when it couldn't contain you, it called you a problem to be solved. They handed you pills, routines, planners, rules, focus. They said, slow down, they said, calm down, they begged, and in every word they buried the most dangerous thing about you, your fire. But you were never built for calm. You were built for conquest. You were never designed to fit in. You were meant to stand out and stand up. You tried to comply, didn't you? You tried to sit still in classrooms that felt like cages. You tried to work jobs that demanded repetition instead of revolution. You tried to wear their idea of normality, but it burned like iron against your skin. Every attempt to be like them broke you a little more, because every rule you followed silenced a part of your storm. And when the storm sleeps, your soul suffocates. You started believing their story. You thought something was wrong with you. You apologized for being different, for being too much, too emotional, too impulsive, too restless. But what they called too much was exactly what makes you limitless. You were born with a mind that refuses to settle for mediocrity, a mind that cannot stop until it finds meaning, a mind that sees the unseen connections, patterns, possibilities. You are not a broken circuit, you are a live wire of potential. The truth is, your intensity scares people, because deep down they know they could never handle what you are built to carry. You can move mountains when others are still planning the first step. You can hyper-focus on passion until the world disappears. And when that passion aligns with purpose, you become unstoppable. But you've spent too long fighting your nature. You've been at war with your own mind, trying to fix what was never broken. Let me tell you something. ADHD isn't the problem. It's the untamed version of genius. It's power before direction. It's energy before purpose. It's the universe screaming through a human vessel that hasn't yet learned how to aim. You don't need to slow down, you need to channel. You don't need to fit in, you need to break out. You don't need to fix yourself, you need to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for not being like them. Forgive yourself for burning out. Forgive yourself for not finishing what you started. You never lacked discipline. You lacked alignment. You never lacked focus. You lacked a worthy target. Because here's the secret. When your mind finds something it loves, something that ignites that deep burning obsession, you become the most powerful force on earth. The same brain that can't remember a simple errand can build empires when it finds meaning. That's not disorder. That's destiny. You have been living in misunderstanding for too long. You have been trying to fix lightning instead of learning how to wield. You have been trying to heal a storm instead of learning how to ride it. And now, it's time to remember who you are. Not the diagnosis, not the label, not the misunderstood child who couldn't sit still. You are the storm that moves mountains. You are the mind that sees beyond the noise. You are the proof that brilliance and madness are neighbors separated only by direction. So don't dim it, don't shrink it, don't fix it, aim it. Because power without aim is chaos, but power with direction becomes destiny. You were never supposed to think like them. You were supposed to see what they couldn't. That's why the world misunderstood you. It mistook depth for distraction. passion for impatience, movement for madness. But listen closely, here's the truth no one ever told you. Your mind isn't scattered, it's searching, restless not because it's empty, but because it's overflowing. Every thought, every impulse, every spark, it's not a glitch, it's a gift. Your brain doesn't wander aimlessly. It hunts for meaning. It refuses to settle for mediocrity, refuses to linger in the shallow end. That's why you feel pulled toward the edge, the place where others fear to go. You were never meant to find peace in stillness. Your peace lies in motion. Your clarity is born in momentum. When they told you to slow down, they didn't realize that stillness feels like suffocation to a mind like yours. You don't thrive in silence. You thrive in the storm, because ADHD isn't a lack of focus. It's too much focus, waiting for something worthy of its power. You don't struggle to pay attention. You struggle to waste it. You were told that success means order, calm, predictability. But maybe your success lives in the wild, in that beautiful chaos where your curiosity runs free, where your mind leaps from idea to idea, creating connections that no one else can see. That's not disorder. That's divine design. The revelation is this: you were built differently for a reason. You were wired to chase wonder, to see the world not as it is but as it could be. You are the kind who invents, not imitates, who builds, not borrows, who feels the pulse of possibilities in everything others ignore. It's time you stop calling it a problem, because ADHD isn't your cage. It's your engine. But an engine without steering is dangerous. That's what they don't teach you. They label your energy as chaos, but they never show you how to direct it. They give you rules when what you needed was a compass. You are not undisciplined. You are unanchored. You are not disorganized. You are overflowing. You are not inconsistent. You are multidimensional. And every single time you hated yourself for not being like them, you were actually feeling the pain of living below your potential. You've tasted what it's like to hyperfocus. Those hours when you lose track of time, when the world blurs and everything inside you clicks. That isn't an accident. That is who you truly are when you are aligned. In that moment you are infinite. The noise disappears. The fire becomes precision. The chaos becomes creation. That's not disorder. That's mastery, waiting for direction. So here's the revelation. You don't need to fix ADHD. You need to feed it purpose. Because when you aim your attention at something meaningful, your potential explodes. You become what no structured mind can compete with. A storm guided by vision. The problem isn't that you think too fast. It's that the world moves too slow. The problem isn't that you can't focus. It's that your focus is sacred, and it refuses to waste itself on what doesn't matter. The world calls it distraction. But it's not distraction. It's disinterest. It's your spirit rejecting the ordinary. And when you find that one thing, that mission, that obsession, your energy becomes art. You no longer chase everything, you choose deliberately. You no longer drown in ideas, you build with them. You no longer question your worth, you prove it through creation. Because this is what they never tell you. Your brain isn't broken, it's built for brilliance. But brilliance needs a target. Without it, it burns itself. With it, it burns through the impossible. You have to aim your storm, because a storm without direction destroys, but a storm with purpose shapes the world. And one day when you stop trying to become normal, you'll realize you were never meant to be. You were meant to be legendary. The revelation isn't that you're different, it's that your difference is divine. Now you must learn how to wield it, because power without guidance is chaos, but power with purpose is creation itself. There's a moment every restless soul meets when your own brilliance becomes your prison. You feel everything all at once. Dreams, ideas, regrets, possibilities all racing through you like fire through dry grass. You want to do everything, so you start everything, and finish nothing. That's the trap, the loop, the endless cycle of burning out before you even begin. Because your mind craves novelty, it lives for newness. The start of a project feels like a sunrise full of color, hope, and motion.
But once the fire fades, your brain screams for the next spark. The old loses flavor, the new becomes oxygen, and suddenly you're juggling 1,000 suns, all glowing, all dying. You tell yourself you're lazy, inconsistent, undisciplined, but that's not true. You're not lazy. You're overloaded. You're not inconsistent, you're overstimulated. Your problem isn't lack of effort, it's lack of aim. You've been trying to manage a storm by pretending it's rain, but storms can't be managed.
They must be commanded. This is the truth. You don't struggle with attention. You struggle with direction. Your mind is a floodgate, and until you decide which way to flow, everything will drown. So you live between extremes, obsession and exhaustion. You hyper-focus until you forget to eat, then crash, until you forget who you are. You love too intensely, think too deeply, act too quickly. Every emotion feels like lightning, beautiful but deadly when ungrounded. And in those moments of collapse, shame creeps in. It whispers, you're failing again. You're wasting your potential. You'll never change. You start believing you are the problem. You start comparing your storm to other people's skies. You see their steady progress and curse your own chaos. You mistake your rhythm for failure. But here's the truth. They never told you you are not behind. You're asynchronous. You move in waves, not straight lines. You grow through explosions, not routines. You are not slow, you are cyclical, and every cycle brings you closer to mastery. If you stop quitting in the middle of, that's the trap. You mistake your cycles for collapse. You think the low energy after hyperfocus means something's wrong, but that rest isn't weakness. It's recalibration. Even the storm must pause between strikes, but you don't see that. So you fight yourself. You pile guilt on top of exhaustion. You push harder, trying to force focus through fatigue. You feed the storm with pressure instead of purpose, and it eats you alive. You are not broken. You are burning too brightly without direction. And that's the painful truth. The same force that gives you genius also threatens to destroy you, because intensity without intention turns brilliance into burnout. And if you don't aim your mind, it will aim itself, usually towards self-doubt, chaos and distraction. You will find stimulation somewhere, if not in purpose, then in pain. You'll start unnecessary conflicts. You'll chase adrenaline in arguments, procrastination, or impulsive choices. You'll create chaos just to feel alive again. That's the trap of the untamed mind. It doesn't crave happiness, it craves aliveness. And if peace feels empty, it will seek war. So what's the way out? The answer isn't stillness. It's direction. It's choosing a target worthy enough to command your chaos. It's transforming distraction into devotion. Your storm doesn't need to shrink. It needs a mission, because every hurricane becomes harmless once it hits open water, but becomes unstoppable once it finds the shore. You've been trying to fix ADHD by trimming your branches, but the cure was never control. It was growth. You don't prune lightning. You ground it. You don't fight fire. You forge with it. And once you stop trying to calm your storm, you begin to channel it. That's when life starts shifting. That's when every ounce of your chaos becomes a weapon for creation. But first you must face the truth. You are the one who must decide what to burn for, because you will burn every day, whether it's for purpose or for distraction. And until you choose, you'll keep mistaking destruction for movement. The truth is, ADHD was never the enemy. The real enemy was aimlessness. And once you find your aim, the storm finally has somewhere to go. There comes a moment, quiet but undeniable, when you get tired of running in circles, when the noise of self-doubt becomes louder than the world around you, when you look at the fragments of unfinished dreams scattered across your life, and something inside you whispers,
No more. That's the moment of awakening, the moment when the fire that once burned you begins to burn for you. You start realizing that all along the world didn't need to slow you down. You just needed to learn how to steer, because your brain isn't a curse, it's a weapon, and weapons are neither good nor bad. Only the hands that wield them decide what they become. You've spent years trying to dull the blade, trying to hide your spark so others wouldn't feel uncomfortable in your light. But every time you dimmed yourself, your soul rebelled. It screamed for movement, for creation, for something real. And now you finally see it. You don't need to become calm to find control. You don't need to become quiet to find peace. You don't need to suppress your energy, you need to direct it. The awakening begins with awareness. Brutal, unfiltered awareness. You start to see the patterns, the way you chase stimulation instead of meaning, the way you start wars just to feel alive, the way you punish yourself for being built different. And then something shifts. You stop fighting your nature. You stop apologizing for your fire. You stop wishing to be normal, because normal was never the goal. It was the trap. You were never meant to walk. You were meant to fly. But no one taught you how to use your wings. They just told you to stop falling. This is the rebirth, when you finally understand that your mind was never designed to fit inside their walls. You are not broken. You are unbounded. You start creating systems that work for you, not rotted routines that suffocate, but flexible structures that flow. Timers, music, visual triggers, movement, passion. You begin building a world that fuels your mind instead of fights it. You design your battlefield. You control the rhythm. You replace guilt with strategy. And for the first time you taste clarity, because ADHD isn't about focus. It's about flow, and when you find that flow, when purpose meets passion, you don't have to force discipline. It happens naturally. The same energy that once scattered becomes laser sharp when you give it something sacred to aim for. You start noticing how your intensity becomes your advantage. Your emotions, once overwhelming, become your compass. Your hyperfocus, once unpredictable, becomes your superpower. Because when you love something deeply enough, your brain stops fighting itself. It starts fighting for it. You become dangerous, not to others but to mediocrity. You stop following trends and start creating them. You stop overthinking every move and start trusting your rhythm. You realize that the world doesn't need another obedient mind. It needs the ones brave enough to disobey the ordinary. And the moment that realization hits you, you begin to see everything differently. You stop calling it procrastination and start calling it energy misalignment. You stop calling it distraction and start calling it disinterest. You stop calling it inconsistency and start calling it adaptation. You don't suppress your fire anymore. You shape it. You turn that chaos into creation. That restlessness into resilience. That emotion into art. You become the architect of your storm. And yes, it's hard, because mastery is not about taming the storm. It's about dancing with it. There will still be days when your thoughts scatter, when your focus fades, when your fire feels too wild to hold. But now you don't panic. You breathe. You remember this is the rhythm of brilliance. Even chaos needs rest. Even lightning needs darkness to strike. You learn to pause, not quit. You learn to recover, not retreat. You learn that consistency isn't about perfection. It's about return. You always return to your path, no matter how many times you drift away. And that is what separates the lost from the legendary. Because awakening doesn't make life easier. It makes it intentional. You start living on purpose instead of autopilot. You start building momentum instead of waiting for motivation. You stop chasing focus. You start earning it through alignment. And suddenly you don't just exist. You expand. You become the storm that builds instead of breaks. You become energy. pure, deliberate, alive. This is the awakening, not the end of chaos but the beginning of control through creation. And now your journey takes a new form, beyond survival, beyond understanding, toward mastery. Now you've seen the full circle, from misunderstanding to revelation, from chaos to command, from running from yourself to becoming yourself. This is where the real transformation begins. This is where you stop living as a storm, out of control, and start living as the storm, in command, because you've finally learned the truth. Adhd was never the enemy. It was your untrained power, a rocket without a destination, a flood without a channel, a symphony before the conductor lifts his hands. And now you hold the baton. You have learned the art of reframing. Where once you saw impulsivity, you now see intuition. Where once you saw distraction, you now see divine curiosity. Where once you saw inconsistency, you now see creative rhythm. You've stopped fighting to become calm. You've started learning to become clear, because calm minds create comfort, but clear minds create history. You are not meant to be tranquil. You are meant to be tranquil. You are meant to be transcendent. Now you know that the key to mastery isn't to silence the storm. It's to give it a mission. You no longer waste your energy suppressing yourself. You spend it shaping yourself. Your routines become rituals. Your focus becomes flow. Your emotions become fuel. You rise early not because you have to, but because you're addicted to creation. You build habits that bend around your nature instead of breaking it. You set fire to your purpose every morning and walk through the smoke with certainty, because you understand that discipline is not about restriction, it's about alignment. You no longer chase consistency. You design for it. You know your triggers, your cycles, your patterns. You use them like a blacksmith uses heat, precise, intentional, powerful. You no longer apologize for being intense. You use that intensity to pierce through mediocrity. You no longer hate your sensitivity. You use it to see what others can't. You have turned your chaos into art, your pain into perspective, your restlessness into relentless progress. And now something even greater happens. Your power begins to serve not just you but others, because once you master your fire it becomes light. You start inspiring those still lost in the storm, those who still think they are broken, those who still try to fix themselves instead of forging themselves. You become their mirror, proof that wildness can become wisdom, proof that the misunderstood can become magnificent. That's legacy. That's what mastery really means, not perfection, but purpose multiplied. You begin building things that last, projects, art, stories, movements, and each one carries your signature intensity with direction. You become the embodiment of everything you once feared you couldn't. Not calm, not ordinary, but unstoppable, because ADHD doesn't hold you back anymore. It propels you. The very thing that once scattered you now centers you. The same mind that once drowned in chaos now rides the wave to greatness. You've learned to trust your rhythm, the bursts of energy, the periods of rest, the fires of focus. You no longer curse the dips. You use them to breathe. You no longer hate the highs. You ride them to build. You've discovered that the secret to balance isn't control. It's flow. And now you live in flow. Every thought is a spark. Every action is ignition. Every moment, movement. You are alive in ways others can't even imagine. And the world, it begins to notice. Because your fire illuminates everything around you. People start asking, how did you do it? How did you turn chaos into clarity? And you smile, because they still don't understand. You never fixed yourself. You simply aimed yourself. You aimed your focus at what matters. You aimed your energy at what endures. You aimed your storm toward creation, instead of confusion. and in doing so you discovered the truth hidden in plain sight. Adhd was never about attention, it was about intention. You were never too much, you were too powerful to waste. You are not the symptom, you are the signal, not the noise but the thunder that follows clarity. Not the problem but the pattern the world has yet to understand. And when you finally look back at the road behind you, you realize that every moment of struggle, every burst of fire, every sleepless night was necessary to build this version of you. The storm didn't destroy you, it defined you, and now you stand, not as someone who survived but as someone who commanded. So listen to me. Don't ever let them convince you that you need to be smaller to be stable. Don't ever trade your fire for comfort. Don't ever apologize for being the hurricane that changes everything. Because you are proof that lightning can learn direction. You are proof that chaos can create kingdoms. You are proof that what they call disorder can become destiny. Now go and build the life your fire was meant to forge. Go and lead those who still believe their storm is a curse. Go and aim your brilliance, and when the world asks you what change, tell them, I stopped trying to fix my fire, and started learning how to aim it. You are the storm, you are the aim, you are the masterpiece born from chaos.